Welcome to a Tin Dog podcast. The Cold War. How I remember it. Now, if I'm right, this podcast will go live the day that Margaret Thatcher is buried. Now, for anyone paying attention to the last 310 podcasts, you will know where my politics lie. As someone who grew up on the banks of the River Tyne and witnessed the economic decline of an incredibly proud area, I should be one of the people singing Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. But as far as I'm concerned, all that's happened was an old lady who wasn't particularly well for the last few years of her life has died. The people celebrating her passing have forgotten this. They're celebrating the demise of something long gone. Her effects, her policies, her thoughts, they'll stay with us for a long time. Possibly too long. But it's nice to see that her time was such a long time ago that the politics of the era had to be explained in the episode of Doctor Who. The Cold War was a terrifying time. I grew up believing wholeheartedly that we would be destroyed in a nuclear holocaust. Perhaps I'd seen too many Twilight Zones. Perhaps I just bought into the hype. Perhaps I learnt skills to survive after the Holocaust. Perhaps I was shown threads at school. For more information about this sort of thing, just scroll back a few podcasts and listen to my review of Big Finish's absolutely stunning Protect and Survive. But that's not what this is about. No, this is about nostalgia. This is about Ice Warriors. This is about, well, reliving an old Troughton story. Remember my theory from a few podcasts ago that story 1 would have references to the First Doctor, and story 2 would have references to the Second Doctor, and story 3 the Third, and so on. Well, look at it. It's a base under siege story. Definitively a Troughton-esque thing. More importantly, it's a Troughton monster, a Troughton baddie. It's the Ice Warrior. Beyond that, you've got mentions of the hostile action displacement device, something that hasn't been used since the Second Doctor's time. Matt Smith is on record as saying that the Second Doctor is his favourite because, let's face it, he is an actor's actor. So yes, tick a lot of boxes in the Second Doctor column. The use of the hostile action displacement device has to have been put there by Gatiss. That's perfectly acceptable because, let's face it, if you introduce too much trouble for the Doctor, he will at some point say, everyone in the TARDIS, we can just escape that way. He has to be in just as much threat as everyone else. Everyone likes a submarine film. No, seriously, they do. The definitive submarine films are The Hunt for Red October, Das Boot, and of course the ever-popular Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. There are actual shot-for-shot recreations from Das Boot, but the definitive base under siege story that exists beyond Doctor Who is The Thing from Another World, remade as John Carpenter's Thing. Gatiss is a massive sci-fi nerd. This guy knows more than I can shake a stick at, and trust me, I can shake quite a big stick. Yes, there are references to George Pal's original alien, i.e. the Martian from War of the Worlds, in the spindly finger. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself. There are lots and lots of references, but definitively speaking, the base under siege story in sci-fi has to be The Thing from Another World. The vampire carrot from another world. Fair enough. There is an alien in a block of ice that gets thawed out. It was made back in the 50s. It's a B-movie. I'd strongly recommend you track it down. It's got atmosphere, it's got character, it's got everything going for it. It's a great movie. So the creature is thawed in ice. Now, yes, there are arguments to be made that this is a linear narrative. A, B, C, D, here's the point, it goes on. But characters drag it back. The guy's not playing Sean Connery. He's not even playing, well, let's call it Yosser Hughes. I spent most of the time thinking that the captain was in fact Richard Breyer's neighbour from Ever Decreasing Circles. But the star of the piece, It's always going to be the Ice Warrior. Design-wise, they had stuck remarkably close to the original. The armour did look more shiny, more synthetic, but the reason for that became obvious as soon as we were watching. There are arguments that can be made that this is Dalek for the Ice Warriors, i.e. a single Ice Warrior alone, showing you how dangerous they can be. In Dalek, you find out that the Daleks are, by their very nature, admittedly not in the last scene, a ruthless killing machine just out to destroy everyone. These people have honour. These people have a code of conduct. Yes, they are warriors, but, as we know from their history, it's so much more complicated than that. Even in Waters of Mars, it is implied that the Ice Warriors left for a reason. So yes, the Ice Warriors that everyone thought was a version of skin or shell has become a biomechanical armour. We've just accepted this, because let's face it, we're not there. We'd never seen inside the armour, we just didn't care. I mean, they could be naked for all we knew. We just kind of accepted it. So the new design? Acceptable. Perfectly fine. Yes, the armour opens up, and that's what leaves a lot of people out there to think of Dalek. But all it does is demonstrates the differences between this race and others. These are not little green men. These are very, very big green men. But by far the best thing in this entire story is not a surprise. David Warner's performance is stunning. He's good in practically everything I've ever seen him in. The guy I just want to go on living and being in everything. This is the man who Big Finish call on when they just need someone who's cool. And you know what? I just don't blame them. This is the man who played the devil in Time Bandits. He played Jack the Ripper in Time After Time. Every time his performances were just astounding. This man is the single most underrated actor in the UK, and he just rocks. Like the time that I met Douglas Adams, I have very little memory of the actual event. I was just in awe of the man. I have his autograph on my copy of Time Bandits, but I have very little recollection of actually meeting him because I was just blown away by his presence. This is the man who a lot of people remember from the film The Omen, where he played the photographer. Well, in this, he was just great. The man is acting his socks off, and he isn't even batting an eyelid. There's a scene when he's listening to the radio communication. Everyone else is talking, and yet your eyes are drawn to him. It's a testimony to the direction, to the acting, to the quality of the writing. This could be the reason that Mark Gatiss gets forgiven for Victory of the Daleks. So yes, it's predictable for me to like Cold War. Mutually assured destruction was a major theme of my childhood. I know it's predictable, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry that I prefer this over the Rings of Atakaha. I still can't pronounce it. But you know what? I don't care. It's got Ice Warriors in it. Excellent. Right, I'm off to review something else. And again, I'm sorry for how many things are appearing on the feed so quickly. But one must play catch-up if one's to review Doctor Who episodes when they're actually on. So until next time, be seeing you. You've been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its connected properties are copyright and trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. Whostrology, a Time Traveller's Almanac, is available through Telos Publishing or Amazon. Visit www.whostrology.com for further information. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.
Nothing to me. This means nothing to me. Oh, Vienna. Have I interrupted something?
We were about to blow up the world, Professor.
Again. Ultravox, I bloody love them. I've got a friend who sends me the tapes.
We walked in the cold air. Freezing breath on a window pane, lying and waiting. a picture frame, so mystic and soulful. A voice reaching out in a piercing cry, it stays with you until the feeling is gone, only you and I, it means nothing to me. This means nothing to me. Music is weaving, hunting notes, pizzicato strings, the rhythm is calling. Alone in the night as the daylight brings a cool empty silence. The warmth of your hand and the cold grey sky, it fades to the distance.